Hi, Acadiana. Meteorologist Dave Baker. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. I was kind of digging that song. It's Frank's Last Chase, I think is the name of that song. And it's by DJ Williams, which is part of YouTube's free music catalog. But anyway, it's kind of groovy. This is Let's Talk Tropics. I'm meteorologist Dave Baker. Happy Thursday to you. It's July the 3rd. I know a lot of folks are getting ready for a nice big holiday weekend. Let's Talk Tropics will still run on the 4th of July. Still not sure if I'm going to do this at live at noon or maybe cut an earlier one and start the weekend a little early, but I'll let y'all know on social media well ahead of schedule before we get into this 4th of July weekend. But we do have quite a bit to talk about. We've got a frontal boundary that's over the southeast, and we've been watching now since the beginning of last week. We've been watching the models at least, but it looks like something's going to probably form there over the east coast. Not quite as worried about the Gulf Coast this time around. It's more the east coast, and several of the global models are really starting to pick up on what one of the kind of outlying global models started to pick up on about a week and a half ago. So it's interesting to see how certain models trend and how certain models might pick something up faster than the other ones do. And then they all kind of fall in line. First of all, outside, it's a hot 190 degrees, feels more like 100 here in Lafayette. Dew point at 75, a little bit of a breeze there out of the west northwest at 6. And looking at the area roadways, it's very hazy out there. It's those hazy skies. So you don't got that bright sunshine, but it's not helping us out with the temperatures at all. In fact, our low temperatures across most of Acadiana were right around 80 this morning. So we're getting into that nasty part of the season. But check this out. I got some of the tropical cams up from up along the northern Gulf Coast. Look at all the people that are in Orange Beach right now, not only on the beach, but out in the water. Obviously, it's a very hot day there too, but you can see that, man, there's a lot of folks that are going to be enjoying their 4th of July weekend. It is a little quieter there at the Sea Lab over at Dauphin Island. And then as you work your way farther to the south, the Mississippi beaches look pretty nice there over in Biloxi. Cocodrie, looking out at some of the bays there over southeastern Louisiana, a pretty day there too, and a lot of boaters out going through some of the bayous that lead into Galveston. So really not bad of a day. I think a lot of folks are going to enjoy some decent summer weather for this 4th of July weekend and only have to dodge a few widely scattered showers. And I think most of the action when it comes to any rainfall today is probably going to be in this particular area. So if you live in Lafayette, we might get a stray shower. Opelousas, maybe over toward the areas of the basin, St. Martin, Iberia parishes. But out to the southwest, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of rain out there for today. But we might start to see things pick up a little bit tomorrow and again as we go into the holiday weekend. So if you're going to plan on doing some offshore play and you're doing some boating, really looking pretty good out there. Those winds are currently out of the west at about 5 to 10 knots. Seas are only running about 1 to 2 feet, but the waves are kind of coming in from the south and the southeast this time around. So upper level pattern still showing that trough that's over the eastern half of the country. And this is where that front kind of came from. And that's where we were looking at the models for most of the week last week, with the possibility maybe something developing there or developing over here. And the models are now starting to come into play. And it looks like we're going to see at least a low pressure area try to develop along the coast of Florida, Georgia, or the Carolinas. Now, there's also quite a bit of dry air that's sliding in behind that front. I was looking at some of the upper level soundings. New Orleans has got a pretty good dry slot going up at the 500 millibar level. And then Jackson was another one where there was very dry air up north there toward Atlanta. Some pretty dry air coming in behind that front. And you can see there, you got clouds over Florida, and then it's relatively clear as you get back over to the panhandle. So there is a little bit of drier air pushing in. And that might cause a little vorticity to get things spinning here several days from now over the Atlantic side. Again, you can see the National Hurricane Center is kind of pushing everything farther to the east and not much chance for development over the Gulf waters, which is good news for vacationers there along the beaches of Florida. But the newest mean tropical cyclone strike probability is showing that an actual tropical system could be close to the East Coast. It's giving a better than 50% chance. Now, this is starting on Monday, on July the 7th. That's the range. So it goes July the 7th and then it goes to July the 14th. So it's a week's forecast there, but you could see things really highlighted now over the southeastern part of the United States. So this is where we're going to be focusing. So what we've got, first of all, is a front. And the front's right about in there, maybe a little bit farther back toward the northwest. And we talk about during the month of June, especially early part of June, where you still get cold fronts that'll work their way all the way down into the Gulf. Occasionally, you can get a low pressure area to develop along that. And models have been suggesting this pattern now for about 10 days or so. And we were a little more concerned because of the water temperatures, especially there over the northeastern part of the Gulf and right along the Louisiana Gulf Coast. Some of those water temperatures are now starting to go as high as 88 or 89 degrees. Now, you see off the coast of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas, the water temperatures are slightly cooler there, right up against the coast, which on one global model, which keeps the low really close to the coast, there'd be a lot of inhibition there. But if it develops or tries to develop a little bit farther away from the Florida coast, it would be able to encounter some warmer waters of the Gulf Stream. And there's a little bit of heat potential there off the east coast of Florida, but it's not real significant. Maybe a little bit right there it could tap into, but it's nothing like what we're seeing out here in the Caribbean, nor in the loop current there over the southeastern part of the Gulf Coast there, especially west of Florida. Now, there's quite a bit of shear that is out there, but you notice over Florida today that wind shear has really started to drop off. And it's kind of a broader area of wind shear here that covers much of the eastern part of the Gulf and then kind of works its way off into the Atlantic. But if we push our forecast up just a little bit and we take it into Sunday morning, now this is all based on the GFS, you got a little bit of a low pressure area there and you got an area of lower wind shear that surrounds that. So there's a possibility that it would be able to overcome any of the minor wind shear that's out there, especially if things kind of calm down a little bit there as we get into Saturday night and Sunday. So we're going to go through all the different models. I do want to look at the next 10 days because there's some other stuff that's out there too. But we are going to focus. I'll go ahead and let this reset, but we're going to let it focus on the southeastern part of the U.S. So you see there now that things have started over, you see we've got a bit of a low pressure area that develops and kind of rides up the East Coast. So this is where we're going to stop it. This is actually Sunday morning. The title up there is different. So that should say Sunday morning on there. But early in the morning, we could see, there you go. You could see a low pressure area developing. And it looks like here with the GFS that it's trying to focus maybe on a tropical depression that could form off the Carolina coastline, but it might get a little stronger as it kind of pushes off toward the northeast because the focus on that is to have the low there on Sunday morning and then gradually kind of push it out in that direction where it could have a chance for a little bit of strengthening. But the GFS for the most part is suggesting a tropical depression. Euro model really hasn't been on board a whole lot over the last couple of days, but you see that low there off the Carolina coast now. So it's buying in, and actually the Euro might be somewhere between the borderline of a tropical depression or a tropical storm. But again, it's very close to the coast. There are some colder waters right on the coast of Florida and Georgia. So if it gets a little farther away, it might have a better chance for some development there. Canadian, which was a little more robust on trying to develop a tropical depression or tropical storm, has really backed off a little bit more over the past couple of days. And it really hasn't backed off on low pressure developing. It's really more backed off on having it develop over the water. So at this point, at least the last couple of Canadian runs, really isn't showing a storm. It's showing more of a trough because it's trying to get the center of circulation to develop there somewhere over land, and you don't get tropical systems when they're developing over land. And finally, when we look at the icon, and there's something else I'm going to point out to on the icon, but first you see that low developing and it stays in the offshore waters, but the pressures deepen a little bit. So it might be hinting at a tropical storm. And then you see that other little low that comes in behind it. and then starts to scoot its way out into the Atlantic Ocean. That was something we pointed out yesterday, where there is a mass of rain or a bit of an upper trough that's north of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands right now. And the icon model has been kind of pinpointing on this. And the GFS yesterday had a little cluster of rain and maybe even some deepening pressures in that particular area. So I will look at that in just a little bit. But there's the Sunday morning. Again, this should all be, say, Sunday morning. I must have changed I must have changed one of my titles in my thing here. I thought I had them all there for Sunday morning, but Sunday morning is what I'm trying to focus on here, where you can see low pressure right off the South Carolina coast. Pressures are a little bit lower there, and it does stay a little bit tighter than the rest of the model solution. So just looking at that, I think the GFS is trying to forecast a depression. Same with the Euro, which is a change from yesterday. Canadian, which has been forecasting tropical depression, tropical storm for a number of days, is backed off and is trying to develop something over land. While the icon model is going with a tropical storm, and then the icon model also talks about something else that could be coming down the road, and we'll have to wait and see if the GFS starts to pick up on that too. Real quick, I wanted to go through some of the shorter range high resolution models. So this is the HRRR, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that back to the 12Z because it runs every hour, but you only get, I believe, 36 hours of a forecast. But at 12Z and 0Z, and I believe 6 and 18, you get 48. So this HRRR model will take us out all the way to Saturday morning. So you can see this is bringing a little bit of a low there right off the coast of North Carolina. We can go ahead and look at the NAM too while we're here, which goes out to 60 hours. So you can see there's a little bit of a twist. But remember, this is based on the GFS, which was a little bit weaker compared to some of the earlier model runs. But let's just go through some of the AI stuff too. You got a low they're all very, very similar, these shorter range, high resolution models. So a lot of times when you're looking out in the long range, you start with your global models. And then when you get within 3 to 5 days, you can start looking at your medium range and your more high resolution models and kind of confirm what some of the other global models are talking about. And even the ensembles, let's go ahead and grab the East Coast here. Even the ensembles are showing low pressure there over parts of Florida. You see a little part of it pulling away, but remember yesterday it had it kind of drifting off toward the west, more toward us. So the ensemble models are kind of shifting a little bit there too. But it's always good to go through everything, see what everything is talking about, and then start to make your forecast after that. So what else is out there? Right now, Central America is looking good. Panama is getting a lot of rain. There is a tropical wave that's currently drifting to the west, and it's about located right about in here, and it's going to continue to drift its way toward the west. So I would expect increased chances for rain over Central America, and unfortunately, they've been hit pretty hard with a lot of severe, or rather a lot of flooding rains with tropical waves moving through, stalling upper troughs. And then last week we had Barry that moved in there. So they've had a lot of rain. As far as the most of the Caribbean, we're looking okay, but there's a couple of things that are probably grabbing your attention. And one is that one right there. That's a tropical wave. That's going to continue to move off toward the west, and we'll start to bring some heavier rains here over the Windward Islands over the next couple of days. We'll watch it for possible development, but there is a ton of Saharan dust that's out there, and it's going to have a hard time getting some development going. Another area that I want you to kind of keep an eye on is this right in here. You can see that bit of cloud covers. It's kind of an upper trough right now, but this is what the icon was kind of talking about, having it kind of drift off toward the northwest like that, and then get pulled up in a front that would come off the lower 48 off the East Coast and pick it up and turn it back out to sea. So I would say here and here are the two areas I think that would be the most concern over the next several days, but I don't think we're going to be seeing any tropical development. And then out farther in the Atlantic, there are a number of tropical waves that are out there. Right now, none of them are really showing any signs. And then you've got kind of a low that's off the African coast, and that's dragging out a lot more Saharan dust once again. In fact, there's your Saharan dust map, and you can see most of the Atlantic is choking with it. There is that tropical wave there that's near the Windward Islands that's south of some of that. So it can roll westward in tandem with that area of clear air. It might be able to have a chance. And then you can see locally, we've got Saharan dust over the western Gulf, and that includes parts of Louisiana. And that's why the skies look the way they do out there today. Very, very hazy and not super sunny. I did want to real quick touch on the Pacific Ocean. Flossie is a tropical storm, and it's continuing to move away. This is Flossie right over here. Probably not going to last a whole much longer. And then you got this massive cloudiness that's out here south of the Gulf of Tehuantepec, which is right there. And that is pretty likely to become a tropical system in the next several days. In fact, National Hurricane Center putting an 80% chance for development in that area sometime over the next week. So, real quick, since we are in July, I do want to go over some of the things and the items that you will need if we do have a hurricane or tropical storm approach the area and threaten our region. This is a good list of just basic stuff that you can throw together. All of these things are available at the stores right now or on Amazon or however you want to get these things. But just kind of look over the list and really keep it in the back of your mind that in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we're going to be into August. And that's when you really start, that anxiety starts to get up. What's the next tropical wave going to do? Is this one going to get in the Gulf? You know how it goes every single year, August and September. So if you can take care of a lot of these things right now, then you'll be well ahead when the tropical weather does start to threaten. Of course, there are other lists. One, let's say we've got a tropical system that's coming our way. So about a week out, by about a week out, we usually know we're going to be threatened. So we look at different lists of things that we can do there. So a week out, you have your plans. You're going to evacuate or you're going to stay home. Secure your items. You might start to bring some things inside, of course, topping off the gas tanks. And if you do plan on maybe evacuating, or there's a possibility a week out that you would have to evacuate, you can go ahead and make those reservations a week out. And then if the storm turns, just make sure you can cancel those reservations and cancel them on time. And of course, if you do, or right now, you can also alert your family of what your plan is if a tropical system were to come by. And of course, when we know we're in the crosshairs of a tropical storm or hurricane, this is the stuff that you're going to be doing 2 to 3 days before landfall. You grab those last minute supplies. If you're evacuating, make sure you choose 2 different evacuation routes. Make sure your neighbors are okay and know their plan too, and then put your plan into action. Hopefully we won't need plan 2 and plan 3, and we can just stay with plan 1, which is just gathering the stuff that we might need if a tropical storm comes our way. Well, I hope you enjoy Let's Talk Tropics. I enjoy our afternoon chats. Like this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on those notifications. You can also hear my forecast daily on Big 102.1, Planet Radio 106.7, and Freedom 95.1. And also follow my social media pages, both on Facebook and X. And thanks to everyone who subscribed to Acadiana Weather Today right here on YouTube. If I don't see you on the 4th of July, have a great Independence Day and a great weekend. If you're hanging around, I'll probably see you on Friday. Have a great day.